All right, let's talk about something that's surrounded by a whole lot of hype and, honestly, a lot of confusion. Low testosterone. We're going to cut right through all that noise and get straight to the real story, looking at what the science actually says. You know that feeling when you're just off? You're dragging through the day, maybe you're a bit irritable, and you just don't feel like yourself. It's a really common thing to feel, and while it's tempting to look for a quick answer, the truth is it's usually a lot more complicated than that.
So, let's bring in the main character of our story today, testosterone. We all know it as the primary male sex hormone, but that title, well, it doesn't even begin to cover it. This one hormone is like a master regulator, pulling strings all over the body.
Okay, so let's get into the basics. Before we can even talk about what it means to have low testosterone, we really need to understand what this hormone is supposed to be doing in the first place when everything is running smoothly.
And what's really wild is just how much it does. I mean, look at this list. Yeah, okay, it handles sex drive and sperm production, we all know that. But it's also building your muscle and keeping your bones strong. It's regulating your mood, your energy. It even plays a role in producing red blood cells and telling your body where to store fat. It is a true powerhouse.
All right, so now that we've got a sense of its job description, let's get to the big question. What does it actually mean to be low? This is where we shift from just talking about feelings to looking at the hard clinical facts.
And here it is. This is the number that really matters for a diagnosis. Now, the normal range for men is pretty wide. It can be anywhere from about 300 up to 1,000 nanograms per deciliter. But doctors generally agree that a level below 300 is clinically low, especially if you're also having symptoms. And this is key, that measurement has to come from a blood test taken in the morning, because that's when your levels are at their highest.
And this really highlights a crucial point. Testosterone levels going down is a totally natural part of getting older. For most guys, it starts around age 30 and then drops by about 1% every year. The decline itself isn't the problem. It's when that decline starts from an already low point, or happens faster than it should, that you see so many men over 45 fall into that clinically low category.
So, a number on a lab report is one thing, but it's usually the symptoms that actually get people to go see a doctor. These are the kinds of clues your body might be sending you. But a quick word of warning, a lot of these symptoms can be caused by other things too.
So, let's start with the symptoms most people immediately think of. A drop in your sex drive, or libido, is often one of the first and most obvious signs. But it can also affect physical function, leading to erectile dysfunction. And it can even lower sperm count, which of course is a huge factor in fertility. But it goes way beyond the bedroom. The physical toll can be really significant. We're not just talking about being a little tired. This is a deep, persistent fatigue that just doesn't go away. It's noticing you're losing muscle even when you're hitting the gym, or you're gaining more body fat, especially around your stomach. These are all direct signs that the body's master regulator isn't quite doing its job.
And this is the part that so many people miss, the impact on your mind and your mood. Low testosterone can seriously mess with your head. You know, things like mood swings, feeling irritable, or even just feeling down and depressed. You might get that brain fog that makes it hard to focus or just lose your drive to do anything. It can even mess up your sleep.
So this is probably the most important point we'll make. You absolutely cannot look at a checklist of symptoms online and diagnose yourself. As the quote says, these signs are not a diagnosis. They are simply the reason to go have a real conversation with a doctor who can figure out what's actually going on.
So who should be paying a little closer attention to all this? Well, age is obviously a big one. But look at these other factors. Obesity, type 2 diabetes, not getting enough exercise, and even conditions like sleep apnea. It shows you just how connected your overall health is to your hormonal health. Okay, so you've decided to talk to a doctor. What happens then? Let's walk through the actual path to getting a clear answer and finding out what your options might be.
A real diagnosis isn't a quick guess. It's a methodical process. It all starts with that conversation about your symptoms. Then comes that very specific morning blood test. And notice, step 3, a single low reading isn't enough. A good doctor will almost always repeat the test to make sure it's a consistent problem before they make a diagnosis. They might even run more tests to figure out why your levels are low.
Now, when it comes to treatment, you're really looking at two main paths. Over on the left, you have lifestyle changes, and this is the foundation. This is for everyone. Then on the right, you have medical therapy, specifically testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT. And that is a serious medical treatment that's only considered after a confirmed diagnosis, and it has to be done under a doctor's care.
Let's spend a second on that first path, because this is where you have a huge amount of control. Things like strength training, losing extra body fat, Getting 7 to 8 hours of good quality sleep and managing your stress, these aren't just nice to have. They are proven, powerful ways to naturally support and even boost your testosterone levels.
And finally, we absolutely have to talk about the risks, specifically the risks that come with testosterone replacement therapy. This is such a critical part of the conversation because when it comes to hormones, more is definitely not always better.
In the short term, TRT can bring on side effects like acne or fluid retention. But more importantly, it can increase your red blood cell count. And when that happens, it can raise your risk of developing blood clots. This is just one of the many reasons why medical supervision is absolutely non-negotiable.
But the long-term risks, that's where things get even more serious. You see, when you start putting external testosterone into your body's own natural production factory shuts down. That can lead to testicular shrinkage and a major drop in sperm production, which can cause infertility, sometimes permanently. It is a massive trade-off that has to be taken very, very seriously.
So if you take just one thing away from our time together, let it be this. Testosterone therapy is not a quick fix for feeling tired. It's not an anti-aging potion. It is a serious, often lifelong medical treatment for a diagnosed medical condition, and it demands that level of respect.
Which brings us right back to the beginning. Is what you're feeling just a normal part of getting older, or is it a sign of clinically low T? The overlap between the two is huge. Trying to figure that out on your own is pretty much impossible. The only person who can really tell you for sure is a doctor. So, if you're wondering, don't guess. Go get it checked out.